So today we are joined by Mr. Bear Woznick. He'll be talking to us about the importance of manliness in a very effeminate and culture which turns a lot of people away from what it means to be a man. So thank you, Mr. Bear Woznick, for joining us, and begin with that about 30-minute lecture types, and then we'll have a period of questions and answer afterwards.
And we can have some dialogue here and there, maybe through my when I talk too. I really would ask people to be bold enough to turn on your cameras. I mean, it's kind of like the first lesson of manhood, right? I mean, be bold enough to turn on your cameras if you're here. It shouldn't be that passive. I'll show you where I am, by the way. Check it out.
Wow.
Ooh, beautiful.
And then down below me, you can't see it, but St. Augustine's Catholic Church is right down below me. Hey, Santiago, turn on your camera, dude. I know some people may not have cameras on theirs, but I mean, I don't want a bunch of passive men listening to me talk. Either be in it or don't be here. Get with the program. Hey, there's Will. Hey, Will. Hi, Katrina. You guys can have your mics on too if you want to, because while I'm talking, if you have something you want to say, then jump in, because it's a lot more fun. That's when the real dialogue happens. One of my complaints about education is they teach men especially to sit down, shut up, and listen. I think it's a stupid way to teach people. People should be gathered together and interactive and communicating, and you know what I mean? You can't really learn how to play baseball, Joseph, by watching baseball. You got to get up and play it. So we'd like to have real conversation here. Annalisa and Elisa, Santiago, Chris, I think Gabriel. Yeah, turn on your cameras. Let's have a real, this is silly. Never been in a Zoom meeting where people were this passive. And it's part of why it makes me sick, really. You might be sad that I'm on the show today. You're in the car. Okay, I get it, Annalisa. I just barely made it here. My wife was, and I understand there are exceptions to everything, but my wife just got her COVID. We were in line less than 30 minutes ago, so we got back in time for this. So I'm working on a new book. I've just signed. But by the way, my history, just to know who I am. Long Ride Home television show. It's a motorcycle-based TV show. I ride with a pack of men. I'm a two-time world champion tandem surfer. That's where you lift a woman when you surf in very extreme lifts and in very extreme waves. And there's a lot to learn about being a man by just being the man that has to lift and protect women. That's what our main job should be as men, right? And of course, I've run with the Bulls of Pamplona. I'm a private pilot. I don't know. I think it's the list goes on. I'm a ninja black belt, second degree ninja black belt. I've pedaled my bicycle across the United States. Sailed, just all kinds of adventure. But the thing that I say is that the most adventurous thing I've ever done is bring to life an eternal being, to have children. That's the real adventure. So I've actually got a new book coming out. I'm writing it now with Sophia. It's my third book, and it's called 12 Rules of Manliness. So I thought I would kind of throw this at you. I was working on the airplane when I was flying back from the mainland about 2 weeks ago. Been massaging the first chapter. So I thought I'd kind of read that as a way to dive into this, okay?
Perfect.
Is that okay with you, Gabriel? Hey, he manned up.
That's quite all right with me.
Okay,
All
good.
right.
So here, okay, you guys better be ready for this.
I'd like to mention, Mr. Woznick, thank you, because this is actually the first time that I've seen Gabriel. So
now that he's turned it on, we're kind of wish he hadn't, but put up with it. So here's the question: where have all the good men gone? My wife knows a new kind of. She loves country music. She was raised in Florida. She's a rodeo girl, and she's who I tandem surf with, by the way. And there's a song that's out that says, "Where have all the cowboys gone?" I'm just going to read this. I was recently at a Theology on Tap gathering of young adults at a pizza joint where several women kind of huddled around us or shall we say cornered my wife, Cindy, and I. And this happens regularly, guys. In hushed but almost urgent voices, they said, there's a lot of nice guys here, but none of them ask us out on dates, or if we have a relationship with them, they never mention marriage. That's like the common theme when I go to young adult meetings. Then they ask the question we were so often and so many here in our society, where have all the good men gone? And you guys, you men are here because you want to rally to that call within you to be a hero. Every man has that sense to be a hero, and you're here for that reason, because you want to man up, step up, and you want to step into the game. You know, like all these stadium seats that are filled now with pictures. You know what I mean? First of all, you don't even want to be sitting in the stadium. You want to be in the game. But half the young men I see and half the men I see, they're not even in the stadium, just their picture is. And even here, I don't even see their picture. So it's time to man up and get in the game. Santiago, let me see what you look like. You got to look better than Gabriel.
Santiago's also driving.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Santiago, I believe you. Yeah, I was almost driving just to get here. So if you guys have good reason, I understand. Women know instinctively, right, Katrina? Women know there's a difference between a nice guy and a good man. While the nice guy might be helpful, never offend anyone, and is easy to just be around or even to push around, they also know that way down in their knower, that when push comes to shove, they want a man they can rely on and has some backbone. That's why I'm saying, if you're here, turn on your cameras if you can. And by the way, if you disagree or you want to say something while I'm talking, step right in. I don't like passive people just listening. So if you have something you want to say, just jump in. From time to time, I'm introduced to someone with these words, and it makes me want to throw up. This is that real nice guy I was telling you about. And I emphatically insist, and I hold my gag reflex as the image of Simpson's neighbor. Remember Ned Flanders? I'm the furthest thing from a nice guy. I hope to be a good man, but I'm not a nice guy. I mean, I might cuss on occasion, don't mean to, but I'm not a nice guy. Ask the guy I had to bully out in the water 2 years ago on Easter, when I kind of humbled him in front of 300 people. He bullies everybody. He's the best known surfer in that lineup, because all over the world, people ask me, who's that jerk in the lineup? And he bullied my son when my son got home from the war. And so I humbled him on the beach in Waikiki in front of hundreds of people. The nice guy sits in the pew and seems to be like a fine Christian man. Like I was saying, those cutout people in the sports arenas now. They're spectators and not participants. And worse, they're taking up space. They're not even there. The ballad of the lukewarm Christian, right? And I know the men that are here because they want to hear this message. So I'm challenging you, but I'm also affirming you to be bold enough to be part of this group. And you know, and I know, society has enlisted in Satan's diabolical sissifying of men, marginalization of fathers, and culture canceling of families. Our world has been pushed to the point of teetering on the edge. In fact, it's gone past that. We're slipping down, we're careening down the slippery slope now, and you all see it. And we just need some men to step up. Remember, I've been to Thermopylae, where the 300 Spartans fought off that huge army. And I've been to the army, the place where Gideon and his 300 men battled and won. And you think about the cave of Adullam, the cave of Adullam, where David's men gathered. They're a bunch of misfits, they were men that owed money. This is when David was on the run because he didn't want to kill Saul, who was trying to kill him. They were running from the law, or maybe their mother-in-law. But these men came into this cave of misfits, and they became the mighty men of valor. So you men need to be with other men who challenge you. You always want to be around someone that's better than you. When I won my world titles, it was because I hung around another world champion. When I trained at my ninja black belt, believe me, I trained with the first white ninja, Grandmaster Stephen Hayes. Be with other men that are going to challenge you, and in the process of that, empower you. So this man that we talk about now, is his quest in life seems to be more about winning the latest video game than seeking worthy goals. You know what a goal is? If you're a man, you need to have goals. Women like men with goals. But a goal is something that makes you have to grow to become it, right? It means you're going to have to change. You're going to have to develop skill and develop virtue on the way. You need to have, a young man wrote to me the other day, and it made me sick. He wrote to me and he goes, "Oh, my sister won't let me go surfing. She's afraid I'll get hurt. And I'm trying to, and I'm staying at her home." And I said, "Well, make a plan today and do it." And he scribbled down a bunch of notes all over, just confusion. And he sent it to me. And I said, "Those aren't goals. That's confusion." If you don't know the path for your life, choose one. And at least while you're pursuing that path, God can direct your steps, right? It's like in the old days, on a motorcycle, you can't ride a motorcycle well, you can't balance it while it's standing still. Once it starts moving, God can turn you and direct you. But if you're just sitting still, it makes me sick. Just get out of the way. Let someone else step up. Don't take up room. His first thoughts, of today's man. And by the way, you guys, I don't speak about Catholic masculinity. I keep saying that I don't. I speak about manliness. And I don't even talk about Catholic manliness, because a real man is a Christian and devoted to the Lord. Can't really be fully alive or fully a man unless you've got the Holy Spirit in your life and you're seeking to abandon yourself. As we say in Deep Adventure, abandon yourself to the wild adventure of God's will. That's it. God's will is wild. When you truly abandon yourself to God's will, you get to see God do stuff. But he's wild. My son Jeremiah, I used to think I rode big waves, but my son Jeremiah on December 7th, 2007 was towed in by a jet ski into 85-foot waves. And before he did that, he had to make a decision that he was going to die that day. And that his friend, my best friend Todd, Crazy Todd, would find him and revive him. That's kind of the deal. Your tow-in partner is as great as a surfer as you are, and that you assume you're going to die that day. We need men who will step up in servant leadership like you guys are. And he thinks of what he can give instead of what he can get, especially when it comes to women. In filming Long Ride Home and with Facebook and all that, two of my best friends from college found me again. And they said, the one thing we remember about you, because those two men, they weren't Christians when I became a Christian. He said, the one thing we remember about you, Bear, is that you always respected women and you wouldn't let anybody speak about women in a bad way. But people think that if Jesus was alive today, like Starbucks is right down here. And I hate Starbucks, but now I love it because my wife likes it. And she brings me that Starbucks cold coffee with a pump of mocha in the afternoons to keep me going. But I think people think Jesus would be down there doing her poetry reading, right? And it would be like why his title would be something like, "Why can't we all just get along?" And Jesus isn't like that. Jesus said, don't think I've come to bring peace. I've come to bring a sword of division. And that division is along the lines of, who do men say that I am? When will you step into the gap and stand for Jesus? I know many men now whose careers are, hey, Michael, aloha, brother. I know many men now and Will's there, kind of in the shadows. Right. Maybe it's nighttime there. But men whose careers are ended, basically, they're not fired, but they're not going to go forward because they won't participate in the LGBTQ Rainbow Committee this year. And they step up and they say, my faith in Jesus Christ, won't allow me to do that. We're not bigots, but we need to speak the truth in love. If Jesus was down there, he didn't say, I've come to bring peace. He said, I've come to bring division. And the merismos, the sword of the Spirit, that sword that guards the way to the Garden of Eden, that flaming sword asks the question, who do you say that I am? And I know Catholic apologetics, you guys are going to be more ready than anybody to share that. And I really feel that the younger people that think it's cool to be an atheist in time, they're going to find out that Dawkins isn't wearing any clothes, right? The emperor has no clothes on. And then they're going to want to know, tell me, what do you think? What do you think? And Catholic is the thinking man's religion, right? You know, apologetically, philosophically, as well as from revelation, how to share. And you don't have to share scripture with someone. You can talk with them philosophically, and then you just say, dude, I know the guy. I know him. I know him. I know Jesus. You want to get to know him? Okay. I remember when I was in college, I was coming home from just walking home. And I was wondering, why does this dead leaf fall off of a living tree, but a dead leaf doesn't fall off a dead branch? I saw a dead branch on the ground all through the fall and into the spring. The leaves never fell off. So I went and asked a biology professor that. Now that's pretty cool. It's because new life is what pushes the dead leaf off. If you don't have any new life in you, the dead leaf just hang. And I came up and there was a guy there, Mark Melton, my next door neighbor, and he goes, hey, what are you doing? And I explained it to him. And he goes, oh, good, it's a Christian. And this was Baylor University, by the way, national champion basketball team. And he thought he was going to eat me alive. And I had just been, the Holy Spirit gave me just enough ability to communicate with him. And then as soon as I could, I said, hey, Mark, I know the guy. You want me to pray with you? And then maybe we can just say, hey, God, if you're real, show yourself to me. And we prayed that kind of prayer, and boom, the Holy Spirit gave him connected some synapses, and he gave his life to the Lord right there. But you guys have the opportunity for a great harvest, because people are coming to the point now where they're saying pornography isn't working. I can't fill myself with that kind of emptiness. I'm an atheist because I want to have. The reason why I don't believe in God is because I can't believe in God and do all this crap that I'm doing or not doing. But it'll come a point where I'm gonna be fed up with that, and you're the ones that need to be able to tell him, I know the guy. You want to get to know him? Let's pray. As soon as you can, pray with people. But as a young man, you guys ever know who Louis L'Amour is? He was the great Western writer, and he's written over 100 Westerns. And many of the old Western movies were Louis L'Amour, his books that were translated. And my wife and I, she's a cowgirl, right? She loves Westerns. She always tells me there's nothing worse than a moody cowboy after a bad ride, after being bucked off a bull, right? But I love Louis L'Amour, and his last editor, well, you may know, Lou Aronica was the last editor, was the one who brought the Star Wars and Star Trek series of books to Random and Bantam House, and he was in charge of the romantic division too. But he was also Ray Bradbury and Louis L'Amour's last editor. So once a year, he takes on 2 new authors to really work with them. And he was my mentor for my first book, which was an Amazon bestseller, Deep in the Wave: A Surfing Guide to the Soul. So, but Louis L'Amour in his books, he talks about virtue. The hero is actually a virtuous person, or may not be perfect, but he's pursuing virtue. So we need to have that kind of man again. I'm not talking about macho guys. We need to have men that'll be bold enough to step up and be counted. So far, I know I talk kind of fast. I talk at about 80 miles an hour. And then my dad used to say this, and he says, and then you gust to 160 miles an hour. But is anything I'm saying resonating? Wait. Hey, the women out there, is anything I'm saying making sense to you? Katrina?
Yeah, I think definitely, because that's the reason why we're in this situation today with this virus that has an insanely high survival rate, and we're all hiding in our houses because we have no men to stand up and say, like, we need to take off these masks, we need to go back to work, we need to get this stuff going, because they've trained all the men definitely through the school system and stuff, just to be quiet. And it's insane, because definitely, even when I'm on Zoom, just for school, I'm always the one, like, with my camera on and who has to answer all the questions, because all the men just go to sleep or play video games or something.
I saw Will on mine, and then he turned it off. I'm sick of passive men. Either turn them on or go. If you're in a car and you can't turn it on, I understand. But if you're so passive that you can't turn on your camera, then don't be here. There you go. There's Jacob. That's a good name. Yeah, Jacob likes it too. Hey, he's a good-looking guy. He should have his camera on. So what do you think, Alyssa, about what we've been talking about? No, I didn't hear you.
No, I think it's very interesting. Yeah, and I go to a very liberal school, so definitely I've been very indoctrinated with the idea of toxic masculinity, and we get told that on a daily basis and how to fight that, instead of looking at the beautiful parts about masculinity, and how it's needed.
Just call it manliness, Alyssa.
Okay, manliness.
Sorry.
Yeah, could you explain what the difference is? Like, what is the difference between masculinity and manliness?
I didn't want to interrupt Alyssa though. Alyssa, tell me more.
Oh.
I'll get right back to that, Jakob. Go ahead, Alyssa. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I'd actually be interested in also hearing the answer to that.
Well, masculinity, first of all, is a very soft co-opted word in this gender spectrum that we live in, right? God made us men and women to complement each other. It's an immutable reality, not only physically, but psychologically. Men, think about it. Did God make Adam and Eve at the same time? No. He took mud and he pounded it around like this. And he took mud and he made a man. Right? That's the essence of a man. He's made out of mud. In fact, the theme song that I'm working on with a friend of mine in Scotland for Long Ride Home, those are some of our lyrics. What about the woman? How did he make a woman? Teresa, how did he make a woman? Yeah, that Teresa.
Oh, well, he took a rib out and then he formed woman out of man.
Right. So a woman is a more highly distilled form of a man, right? He didn't just take mud and make a woman. He made the man and said, okay, now that I basically got that, now I'm going to make something special. And he took a rib out and he formed this beautiful, more like a fine wine, right? A highly distilled, beautiful, incredible woman. And it's not the same. Men are made out of mud and women are highly distilled. And my wife, so wise, so bold. And when I met her, I'm going to tell you women how I met her, and you men too, because this is an example for you. Annalisa, I know you're watching, and Nada, you're in Ghana. I was surfing in Cocoa Beach, Florida, and I won't tell the whole story, but anyway, there was someone there that said you know what tandem surfing is? It's where you lift a woman in extreme lifts, and then you compete carving the waves. And he said, I'm a tandem surfer. And I said, okay. So they announced Bear's teaching people how to tandem surf, and they get to go out in this exhibition. And there were, I don't know, they said there's 250,000 people come to this contest each year. So I teach them how, and he paddles out. He's actually able to put her in a cradle. I cradle her like this. And then they decide they're going to be tandem partners. And I was there for about 2 or 3 months. And I would come down to the beach with them about once a week, and I'd try to coach them how to tandem surf. But this man kept dropping her and falling on her. And the number one job of a man and of a tandem surfer is to protect the woman, instill trust in the woman, and then lift her. Lift the woman, lift her to show her beauty and her power and her strength. And this guy kept dropping her and falling on her. And one day, so they come into I rented a little condo, and I would show them the video and how to work. And I knew this guy would never be able to really do it. But what happened is one day Cindy walked into my little condo there and with him, and she said, sometime, somewhere, some man is going to teach men how to be men again. And I go, you don't know what I do you? But God gave me this beautiful woman we met about 5 years ago. And she's so wise, and she's so powerful. She's so strong, so determined. And in my ministry gives me so much insight. But you know what happened is he kept falling on her and hurting her. And I finally told him, you're not allowed to tandem surf with her anymore. You're not allowed to. You can't hurt women and tandem surf. You have to protect them, lift them, instill. Believe me, when I'm tandem surfing, no one cares about me. They're looking at this beautiful, powerful woman in a very artistic, bold lift. And so I said, you can't surf with her anymore. He went out and I saw him take her out in the waves and fall on her and hurt her again. He dropped her on the board and fell on her. And I walked up to him, and Cindy was walking out of the water, very brave, very courageous, never saying a negative word, but I could see her crying. Not because her shoulder hurt so bad, but because her dream of being a tandem girl was ending. And I just pointed to her in the water and I said, come here like this. And I had my tandem board on the beach and we paddled out, and she had never done an overhead lift. And we did 3 overhead lifts on 3 consecutive waves because I taught them on the beach how to do it. And she became my tandem partner. And we won most every contest we were in. This is only a few years ago. And now she's my bride. But that's what a man does. He protects, he lifts, he instills confidence. If you're, nice guys don't instill confidence. Good men do. So I was going to say, I was going to throw out a few thoughts about what a real man is. Jacob, do you have anything to say about what I've said so far?
Actually, yeah. I've actually heard some guys speak before about like the masculine genius and the feminine genius and kind of how they interact, right? And the masculine genius, I heard it once described, kind of boiled down to 2 things: to fight for what he believes in and protect what he loves, right? And how that complements with the feminine genius, which is to bring about beauty, goodness, and truth. And the part of the man's duty is to protect what he loves, to protect the woman, so that she can fulfill her role as well. So it kind of shows how the masculine and feminine genius coincide. And that's such a counter to today's gender ideology and everything else that's happening.
Yeah, the confusion. Manly genius and womanly genius. I like to say manly because it really ticks people off. Michael, what do you want to say?
Oh, so earlier I heard you talking about like how your friends said that you, I think it was in the context of how you don't think about what you can take, but what you can give, and how you always use that when you were treating women well. So how does that, like in real life level, I guess, how do you know the difference between treating women well and then just being a nice guy?
Well, it starts out with an interior decision to have a covenant with your eyes. Pornography it's an all-out war on men now with pornography. When I was young, if you wanted to see something like that, you had to go steal it from your uncle's basement down below 3 levels of old engines or something. But now men are under full-on attack. So the first thing you have to do is, from just a sexual point of view, is you got to win that battle, and you got to win it every day. It's not like you win it and it's over. You got to win that battle every day. With what is your covenant with women? Do you really truly respect women? And the only way you can win that battle is by having your eyes on Jesus. You got to spend time with Jesus. I know, like when I tandem surf, I have a woman in a lift. The first time she competed with me, I had her in an overhead lift. And every lift, there's some place her eyes are supposed to look, certain directions, a certain place. And when her eyes move, I can feel it. I absolutely know when she just looks to the left. She doesn't have to move her head. I know it because her balance shifts. And the key thing about this winning that battle is, where's your focus? The word for sin in the Old Testament and in the New Testament, Hermasha, I think it is in the New Testament, is an archery term. It means to miss the mark. Where you shoot your arrow where you're looking, right? I'm a really bad golfer, but I know pretty much my ball's going to go in the direction that I'm aiming. And so men need to fight that battle every day, and they need to help each other with it. You start out in that way, and then
so that goes back to what you were saying at the beginning about we have to have goals and be goal oriented.
What do you think?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. You have to have a plan of action to fight, to win that battle. You have to have, because women are supposed to be the subject of our love, not the object of our passion, right? This one guy introduced me to his wife once. He goes, "This is that guy I told you about. He follows his passions." I go, "No, I don't. Yeah, you're the guy. You do all this skydiving, everything. You follow your passion. They go, no, I don't. I try to follow God's will. Then there's a difference between passion and desire, right? Desire, the word means to look up at the sky. And so Jesus didn't say to push passion down. He said, increase desire. Love God with all thy heart, soul, strength, and mind. That's how you win that battle. And you win it by being with others. And then as far as women goes, I think this is the thing Father Mitch Pack, when I was on his show a year or so ago, he sees it all the time too. The young men will not ask the women out on a date. They're so scared to ask a woman out and be rejected. And then when they're with her, they're so nice to her that they won't ask her to marry them. I think it's super disrespectful, dudes. You know, people talk about these women, they teased me in high school or in college. They teased me and we didn't have sex. Men are the biggest high school teasers of all because they're with a woman, they never ask her out, or if they're asking her out, they never ask her to marry them. I just said either get real with the woman you're with or bounce. Let her go, let her be with a real man. So part of it too, respecting women, is to ask women out and not just be passive, but treat them with respect and dignity, to ask them out and be ready to hear them say no a few times. You know, you ask a few women out, and if they keep saying no, that's good. At least you're respecting them by asking them. Any of the women out there agree with this or no? Katrina, Elisa, what do you say, Elisa?
No, I agree.
And I said it for you, right? So I have these different rules for men. If you want me to throw out a few and you guys can talk story about them, as we say in Hawaii.
Yeah, I have one question. So
Yeah.
right now, in terms of just like the whole dating and asking people out. So right now we're, obviously doing everything virtually, and not a lot of us are able to have those more personal interactions with people. So do you have anything
Where
to say
are you,
in
by the way?
terms of-
Where are you again? You're in Florida?
Yeah, I'm in Florida.
Come on, man.
Yep.
Florida is the wild, wild west. You could
That's
go
not
on.
where.
Well, yeah, I actually, I'm just down here for the winter, but usually I'm up in New York. So
Yeah.
But so what do you think about in terms of asking people out online versus, those long distance relationships, stuff like that?
Well, I think there's a lot of different ways to meet the right woman, but you need to start asking women out. And you can wear a mask while you're having coffee someplace in the park. But I mean, the coffee date's the best date, right? To start off to get, with Cindy, I got to watch her from afar. I got to watch to see what kind of virtue she had. And I found out she's a valiant woman. I got to watch her, but then it only took me about 2 months, to tandem surf with her. And then it wasn't long after that I said, I had real feelings for you. That doesn't mean I want to marry you, but it means like, let's see where this is going. And then it was time. I asked her to marry me. And, I'm newlywed. We've only been married 3 years, but I mean, I think men just need to, it becomes so uncomfortable when you stay in the friend zone too long, right? I mean, frankly, men don't like women as friends. They really don't. They'd rather hang out with the guys. And so if you see a guy hanging around you a lot, he's probably because he kind of likes you. You just got to step up. It's not the women. I love the way the women are. They're waiting for you men to step up and then get rejected at least a dozen times. Trey, you're cracking up. What's up, dude?
No, I just think that's very true. I was also going to say that I think that not only does having these, effeminate men, affect manhood, but or manliness, it affects the women too, because then I think that's also like pushing the feminist movement along, is because men don't know how to be real men, and they're letting, they're letting women do roles that are, supposed to be the man's job, and it's just causing a lot of chaos in our society.
I love the way you talk. Love the way you talk. Yeah, I like the way you say that you're letting women do what is supposed to be the man's job. It's not that women and men can't do the same things, but we certainly bring different gifts to it. But like Cindy and I, we just work together perfectly. I know what I do and she does what she does best, and we just work together perfectly. But yeah, I think I'm just going to say this to the men. Go ahead and believe what you're feeling. Be a hero. Be a man. Don't try to figure it out. Just be what instinctively the mud and whatever inside you is telling you to be, and be a man. And you do that by, you have to become a warrior. You have to have your spiritual armor on. You have to spend time with Jesus. You have to spend time knowing, read the Old Testament, you know, it's a great place to see what men are like with all their flaws and everything else. But yeah, men need to become comfortable with being men. Just be a man. It doesn't mean macho. You know, a lot of men are really struggling, women, because they've been raised by a woman, because the man abandoned her and betrayed her, who hates men, and then they're a man themselves. So they don't know what to do with themselves. Just do it instinctively, you know to do. And that's be a man. One of the things I think every man does is he lives by a creed. Every man should know. I had my men and my man, you know, I have a thing called Bear's Man Cave. I had the men a few weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago, write to me what their 1 or 2 sentence creed is. What do they live by? And I've told you what mine is. The most radical thing you can do in life is abandon yourself to the wild adventure of God's will. But men should live by a creed. People should know. Like when I was even in high school, at one point I realized I could be a dad, and my whole life was committed then to my children. After a while, they knew not to ask me to go do certain things because I wasn't going to do it. And I had lesser and less friends, but the friends that I did have were real friends. We need to live by a creed, right, Chris Kramer? I love that picture behind you, man. Stepping into the breach, dude.
Can you explain what you mean by that again more?
About what?
The shoot.
Living
really understand first time, so I was trying to figure it out. What you said about shoot, I'm forgetting now. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, it'll come to you. Let me ask Chris this question, then you jump in, okay? Chris, what does that picture behind you mean?
Well, on like a symbolic level, or what is it depicting, or
whatever you want to tell me. What does it mean to you? Why do you have that picture there?
The
wall of Jerusalem, right?
No, it's actually Acre. It's Acre.
Okay.
The last bastion of the Crusader states.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of history. I think the Crusades were interesting, and I think it's a nice painting. So,
but does it anything in you want to rise to that picture as a man? It must say something to you.
I mean, I guess it'd be pretty cool to be this guy right there with the cross. But yeah, I think it is a good kind of symbol, stepping up into the fray and, you know, doing what you got to do.
Stand your ground and take some new ground too, right? I mean, like, you think about the Nehemiah when they were rebuilding the wall. You know how they rebuilt the wall when Nehemiah came back? A man, if you read it, it's kind of boring. It's just a man and his family built the wall from here to here, and then from here to here, and from here to here. So it was the man and the domestic church. But each man, they began to attack them. You know the story. They would attack these men. And so when the battle came, one man would have a spear and a shield protecting the man that was working. And the man that was carrying the mortar or the bricks or whatever, he had his sword unsheathed while he carried what he was carrying in for the supplies. It's a powerful image, you know, of brotherhood. Look at those men together stepping into the breach. And it's a powerful image of brotherhood. Our iron sharpens iron. We know that, right? Michael, what was it you thought you wanted to say?
So you were saying about how you, like, at a young age, you committed yourself to your future children, and that meant you didn't have, or like your friends began to drop away. What specifically did that look like for you?
It meant that I worked several jobs where I went through college. I don't remember getting drunk until I was in my 30s after a contest in Biarritz, France. I committed, I worked hard, basically. And when I found someone that I wanted to marry, I asked her, I pursued her. Women will let you know if they want to be pursued, but you got to respond to that, So for me, it was about becoming the best provider I could be for my family. I worked my way through college so I could get a good job and take care of my kids. I have 4 children, all adults now. 2 of them, I had 2 other children that, we lost during pregnancy. But yeah, I made every decision I made. I was talking to my son Jeremiah yesterday. We were out golfing, and he goes, "Yeah, I noticed when I hang out with the boys, we drink a little bit too much on a Friday night. I'm not as good a golfer or a surfer the next day." And I go, "Yeah, that's why I never did that, Jeremiah, because I can't. All I wanted to do was have children and be a good provider and a protector for my family." So you make every decision you make. Not the big ones, the little ones. I'm going to go to this bar. I'm going to hang out with this friend. I'm going to turn on this place in the computer. I'm going to waste away my life playing a computer game. Every little decision you make, it's usually not big decisions. It's a bunch of little decisions that culminate. And that's why you have to live by a creed, and you need to know what you really want in life. And the thing is once you start pursuing that, doors will open and doors will close. The wrong doors will close, but God will be behind you like a voice shouting, "This is the way, follow it." Have a direction, something that causes you to grow. And you don't have to find a direction in your life, man. That's the most fulfilling thing you can imagine. The most fulfilling thing you can do, like being a welder, it may not be the most fulfilling thing for the man who's a welder, but guess what? He's being a servant to his family and to society. He's providing, he's doing something good. We find our worth in servant leadership, not in, I need to have this fulfilling career. I'm not saying the Lord doesn't have a plan for your life, but set a direction and go with it. And then the Lord will direct your path. He has a beautiful plan for your life, but you got to be in motion or he can't direct you.
Would you say that there was, like somebody who motivated you or who really inspired you, or how did you, really like become the guy you are today, seeking to be more manly and wanting to instruct others, to be more manly? I know that a lot of us, I think personally, I've listened to a lot of like Jordan B. Peterson and his talks on what, manliness and what it means to be a man. He's right now is not a Christian, but like what you said earlier, yeah, I know he's very close. And just like you said in the beginning, he was kind of, he said these things like how Catholicism is about as sane as a person can get. So, if you keep pursuing,
I'm sorry.
If you pursue the truth, then, Catholicism, that's going to be where any sane person goes, because it's, just as it's the most reasonable thing for any person. But, was there anybody really though who inspired you, in your growth and, who kept you on that path towards being virtuous?
Sister Maria Madonna, when I was in 2nd grade, and all the nuns that taught me a catechism, and my mom and dad were very faithful to taking us to church, to every Sunday. And I remember playing football, and my football coach, man, I just wanted to live up to his expectations, and then the brotherhood of the other football players. I think I'm involved in an individual sport now, especially when you're after college, you kind of have to do that, but surfing and other things. But yeah, it was being with other men and being with a great coach. And my dad too, he was a little bit rough around the edges when I was younger, but when I was in high school, he said, you know what? He and my mom said, when I was a junior in high school, they said, we're never going to say anything. We're never going to complain in this house about anything, ever. Unless you have something you're going to do about it, we're not going to talk negative. We're going to get rid of that. And we're going to, and my father always told me, all the things that I've done, you're going to do greater. He believed in me, and he believed that I should do challenging things, and he definitely led the way for me, for sure. And you know what the thing is unfortunately, a lot of young men don't have that. So why don't you be that? You know, be brothers. You may not have anyone there that can. In Hawaii, we have the tradition. Cindy says in Hawaii, the men are men and the women are women here. There's a real brotherhood here. And anyone that's a little bit younger than me calls me uncle. And I have a lot of the young men will come up and say, Uncle Bear, I got in trouble with Allah, or Uncle Bear, I got a girl pregnant, or Uncle Bear, how am I going to get a good job? Where can I find a place to live? They know they can come to me and I may not know anything, but at least they know they have an uncle. Every one of you men here is a leader. You may not even know who you're leading. Someone's watching you. When you put the banner of Christ on you, people are watching you. And so you just have to ask yourself the question, where am I leading people? But as we say in Hawaii, you have kuleana, you have responsibility to lead. Servant leadership, lay down your life like that beautiful picture that Chris has. I love that painting, by the way, too, Chris. A real man should, what else do you guys want to say?
Yeah, I think Teresa has a couple questions, and then Jacob has a couple questions after.
Yeah, Teresa.
Yeah, so the questions are on pretty much two different topics. But one, why do you think abuse is so prevalent with men and women? And then secondly, what can women do to encourage manliness in men?
That's the question I get, those two questions. When you say abuse, you mean verbal abuse and physical abuse and all of that. And women
Yeah,
can
definitely that.
Women,
sexual abuse and stuff like that.
Women can be as abusive physically and mentally and emotionally as a man can be. So it's both ways. I just think the thing you do is if there's someone like that in your life, you get out. I mean, you can't change them, but you just end it immediately. Run, don't walk. And if there's someone that needs to be told about that situation, then you tell them. But you don't put up with that for a second, and you don't give them a second chance, because people like that don't deserve a second chance. They may have a second chance, maybe with someone else, but the way of an abusive person is they're nice and then mean, nice and then mean, nice and then mean, and people end up on a roller coaster. So once you realize what's going on, you know what's going on, you cut it off immediately. And they may plead with you and cry with you and say, I'm going to change. Don't believe them. Walk away. They had their chance. And then as far as the other question was about how can you help a man to be more manly? I think one of the things you can do is not do their jobs for them. Not step up and say, well, you don't, I might be working. Of course, a woman can work and a man can work, but there's certain things that he should do, and if he doesn't do it, don't do it for him. And it's really tough for people that choose a man like that and they marry him. But there's the only thing I think you can do is just don't do their job for them. And when they do something good, you can affirm that. And then the most powerful weapon there is the rosary. Pray a novena. But I know a lot of women that have been stuck in a relationship like that their whole life. They chose it. And that's just, Cindy knows how many women write to me saying, what can you do to put some backbone in my man? And what can you do to help him become the spiritual leader in the family? And as a woman, you really can't do anything but pray for him. Don't do his job for him. And when you do see something, and you can voice your concerns, but if he doesn't respond to it, voicing it 100 times isn't going to do it. And I'm sorry, sometimes that's just a situation. I don't want you men to be like that with a woman. Lay down your life for that woman. It's the coolest thing you can do is to find a woman that you can be a valiant person with, that you can be the hero for, that you can step between her and life's challenges, and she'll be there with you. I'm not saying that women aren't powerful, but be a champion for your woman. Champion your woman. Protect her. When someone says something against her or in public or doesn't treat her right, like I'm sitting at a restaurant and some guy's talking in foul language, I'm going to get up and tell him, excuse me, there's a lady present. So I don't know what to say about that, Teresa. I'm just doing the best I can. What do you think about that, Teresa?
Well, I wish that that was the case with culture. I don't know, like personally, I feel like I will never find a guy that actually will act that way, is respectful, and will do what he needs to do to protect me and whatnot. I feel like culture nowadays has made it so hard to a point where basically I feel like I talked to a lot of girls in college and high school and whatnot, and they're basically kind of like, they're to the point where they feel like they have to settle because the men aren't really, it's just not working.
Don't settle. But I don't call them guys either. Call them men, or call them boys. If they're a boy, call them a boy. If they're a man, call them a man. And affirm when you're with a good man, tell them, you're a good man. Affirm them. But I love the way the women, you see this, the women speak with one voice like this to us all the time. They're affirming men where they want men. They don't want the nice guy. They're letting you, there's a role for you, and they understand that. And don't apologize for yourselves. Right, Gabriel? Hey, Gabriel, what's your favorite sport, dude?
Oh man, I don't know. I'm pretty sport oriented. There's a lot of sports that I like, but one that I grew up with, one that I've stuck to so much, would probably be baseball.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, that's something that. Say that again. Sorry.
Do you play it, or do you like to watch it, or what?
I used to play when I was younger. I used to play in like youth organizations, or not youth organizations, but recreational for the city. But no, I still watch it. I live here in Texas, so Texas Rangers is my team.
Ooh. Hey, so dude, keep doing. What do you do athletically now?
Currently, actually nothing. But
do it.
No, most definitely. I'm a junior in high school, and once I transfer to my 4-year, I'm kind of interested in getting back into baseball.
All right,
I
man.
kind of miss it, so that's something I'm gonna look into once I transfer to my 4-year.
Do you want me to read the rest of these rules real fast?
Yeah, that would be great.
Well, I based all these rules on Louis L'Amour Western. There goes my beautiful bride. She's too embarrassed to come and say hi to you. Are you too embarrassed to say? Come say hi. Come say hi. She's gonna be blushed by the time she gets from there to here. Look at these beautiful people, Andy. Look at this.
Hi, everyone.
There she is.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I
See?
think that's the name.
What do you think about the women have been saying?
Well, I've heard it before, and you're dead on. And but I want you to tell them about the statistic about when the husband takes the children to church.
Okay.
Yeah, make sure you tell them.
All right.
Yeah.
You can kiss me in public. No public display of affection. Stop that. Well, do you know this, the Pew statistic about when this shows you what manly leadership is? When the woman takes the spiritual leadership in the family, and a lot of times they have to, I guess, and they're the ones that take the children to church. You know the statistic probably that about 1/3 of the children will stay in the faith. When the man and the woman go together, it's more like 80 to 85%. But here's what's the most glaring statistic, and it shows you how the world needs men to lead, servant leadership, is when only the man brings the children, 75% of them stay in the faith. So my list is based on Louis L'Amour Western books. By the way, my TV show, Long Ride Home, the motorcycle show, I didn't realize I'd stolen it from a title of a Louis L'Amour book, because after the first show was airing, I was moving my Louis L'Amour. I have all the leather-bound books. The first one that fell out of this box was Long Ride Home. So but The Proving Trail, live by a personal creed. Riding for the brand, know and live your faith. High and lonesome, cherish your woman. Put her in a high place, lift her and protect her. Display her beauty, grace, and power. You can tell how good a man is by how happy the woman is that's with him. You don't ask him, don't check him out. Look at her. If she's happy and full of grace and joyful, it's a good chance she has a good man. Riders of the high ridge, be joined with other riders, be joined with other men. The daybreakers, begin and end each day in prayer. Have a discipline, be a disciple. in your prayer life. To tame a land, isn't that a cool name? I use that. Sexual passion versus desire. Got to tame it. It's got to tame it, right? Like that, like in the Bible where the guy's running from a lion and he runs from it and he gets inside the house and slams the door shut. And then there's a snake above the head, above where he's leaning his head. But God said to Cain, man, sin's crouching at the door like a roaring lion, you have to beat that. You got to win. You got to destroy that. And then there's another one called Frontier, a book by him called Frontier. Set and pursue worthy goals. Worthy of you, worthy of the Lord. I know what I have in store for you. Plans for peace, not destruction. A future reserved for you full of hope. If you seek me, I will let you find me. And Habakkuk 3:12, write the vision down in letters that are big enough so the man who's running can read while he's running. You know, it's like a symbol of a messenger running from a battlefront, running from town to town, announcing the good news. Warrior path. One of the things I talk about the Man to Man Cave is you should be physically fit, dude. You should be dangerous as a man. You should know how to fight. If you don't know how to fight, you should learn. At least, and don't just, you know, like all of my kids, I told you I trained in martial arts most of my life. 2 of my sons are ninja black belts. The other 2 got halfway, far enough so they knew how to fight and at least be situationally aware. You guys know who Doug Barry is?
Yeah.
Whenever he and I are in a restaurant, we always fight for the same chair because we always sit in the alpha chair. We always sit in a chair where we can see what's going on, you know, situational awareness. And so when he and I sit in a restaurant together, I can sit facing him and he can sit facing me because he knows I've got his back and I know that he's got my back. But a man needs to know how to fight. You should be dangerous. You shouldn't look like a victim walking down the street. You shouldn't be looking at your iPhone or looking down. Should be situationally aware. Don't walk too close to a van. Don't walk too close to bushes. Stand between your woman and any trouble that's there. Cindy and I switch sides walking down the street here in Waikiki probably a dozen times because one side there's cars, another side there's a crazy homeless person or something. The man should always be between you and the one who's vulnerable. So learn how to fight. If you don't know how to fight, you know, learn how to carry a gun, learn how to use a weapon. One of my favorite things is to knife fight. And I was doing a thing in Florida, and I had a friend say, like, you can attack me with this training knife, and then something's going to happen, and you're going to end up on the floor, and go with it. Don't worry about it. So he attacked me with this knife. I did a wrist throw, threw him on the floor. His gun went flying out of his pocket across the church floor. I'm not necessarily saying you should have a gun, but you need to know how to fight. And at the very least, you need to be situationally aware. And you need to know what you're willing to do, man. You know, if there's someone coming after your woman or your family, are you willing to gouge their eye out to protect them? You know what your limits are? Are you going to be like a buzzsaw running through them, or are you going to run away from them? So, man, you need to have a certain sense of being dangerous, and you got to go out and get that. You don't just, most of it is just an attitude, but you got to know that you can fight when it comes down to fighting physically. You know how to fight. And I think you young men, it might become more and more important because of the way the world is going.
I think I've heard Jordan Peterson say that a man who cannot fight is just as bad as a man who will not fight or something, or a man who does harm. I agree. You should know how to fight. And I trained my daughter Fawn to fight. She always hated it. And then one day she said, I'm so glad you taught me, because I needed it that one time. The biggest thing about knowing how to fight, we all know, is not to be there. When you see a dangerous situation, remove the person that you're with from that danger. But when push comes to shove, they should know they're dealing with a dangerous person. When you're walking down the street, they should know that person's situationally aware. I'll wait for a victim. You should stand with your head tall, your shoulders back, walk like a man. Shadow riders, spiritual warfare. That's where the battle is, man. And the great battle is the rosary. Pick up that rosary. Fight for your woman. Look at right now. You may not even know this woman that you're fighting for,
But I lived my life praying for the woman that I would marry, because she needed me right then, not later on when I meet her. So pick up that rosary and pray for your woman. Fight in the spiritual battles. You know, I did a whole series with the exorcist on my, by the way, my website, deepadventure.com, will get you there, and my YouTube channel, Bear Woznick. And I have the most recent videos is with an exorcist. Know how to fight spiritually. Know how to smell a rat when you're around a demon. Know it. The law of the desert born. Be a father and be an uncle. You know, the children, it says he's like a person being born into arid ground. Be a father. Love procreates. God is love. God the Father procreated. He eternally begot his son. Desire and prepare to have children. Man from the broken hills. Know that you know the truth and evangelize and serve others. Basically, you evangelize through friendship. And then the quick and the dead. Memento mori, right? You know memento mori?
Yeah.
Michael likes it. What does it mean, Michael?
It's like remember you will die or remember your death. A couple different ways.
Yeah, the history of that was back in the day of the Roman generals, after they would win a great victory, they'd come in and have a victory march, basically. And everyone would be cheering for them as they rode their horse. But just behind them would be a slave saying to them again and again and again, memento mori, remember your death. Remember, you're just a man. And the monks of the desert, down there in North Africa, St. Athanasius, they would be totally quiet, but when they would get together, they would take that same words and they would just say to each other, memento mori. So the point is, live like you're going to die today. You know, if someone asked a holy man once, I forget which saint it was, but if you knew Jesus was coming back today, or if you knew you were going to die today, what would you do? And the right answer is, I wouldn't do anything different. You should be living each day. Hey, Kevin. Glad you could join us. I don't know if you've been around for a while because I don't see everybody. I'm glad you're here. So any last question or thoughts?
Yeah, I had a couple questions. So first of all, you mentioned you know, you played football when you were younger, since you said grade 2, I think, right? And all that. Since 5 years old, I've been always involved in sports and that sort of thing. And next year I'm going to be going into university for football. But I'm going to be playing football at university, and
no kidding. What school?
University of Calgary, actually, up here in Canada.
Oh, no kidding. I'm going to be speaking up in Regina, I think, in September.
Oh, really?
And I might go see Sean Lynn. He's in Calgary.
It's
one of Jeff Caven's good buddies, biker, police sergeant, motorcycle guy.
Oh, really?
We'll go together. You got to,
cool.
You guys go to my website and at least sign up for my newsletter. You get my podcast every week and all kinds of other juicy stuff. But okay, so you're going to play, you know, the Calgary Stampede. One of my best friends, one of my friends at the beach, his son was played for the Calgary Stampede. And I was named Chad Owens.
Chad Owens, yeah, I recognize that.
Chad, yeah. I love it. My favorite football player of all time.
Yeah,
he never ever called fair catch on a punt.
Yeah, you can't do that up in Canada. Anyways, but
here when he played for the Hawaii Warriors, never called it.
Oh yeah, they would. But yeah, so I was just wondering, like, you know something about this, but I've noticed this over my years in sports, and it's just how to subvert kind of the toxic culture that surrounds manliness within like the locker room, that sort of thing, because there's a lot of bad stuff that happens in the locker room and that sort of thing, and it's just you know,
just make a stand and say, you guys take that outside. When I'm here, don't speak like that about women or about other stuff. Just when I'm here, respect me.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't, you got to do something about it. I don't mean punch somebody, but let them know where you stand.
Yeah. And I also had another question. Like, is there also a time where you think it could go a little too far in terms of like trying too hard to be a gentleman? You know, really, is there a point, do you think, that like you can go too far, if that makes sense.
What do you give me an example? What do you mean by that?
Like,
You mean being too nice?
yeah, I guess being nice, right? Nice in the sense of like, the root of the word nice is the Latin word for ignorant. So,
okay, I gotta put that in my book. You gotta email me so I can quote you. Okay, that you.
Okay.
That you have,
We actually we learned that from a different speaker named Father Charles Murr, who's a
okay. So be in touch with him.
Yeah, I will. You two would like each other very much. He's writing a book right now.
That's great.
He's writing a book right now that's a fiction about a young woman who she ends up she was raised like atheist, and she like hates the church and like her parents, but then ends up meeting a very masculine Spanish man, and they end up getting married. So I think you'd like each other. I'll get you in touch with them later.
You guys go sign up for my newsletter, and then if you don't like it, you can unsubscribe real fast at deepadventure.com. I'd love to be in touch with you guys. And you can email me there too if you want to, if anything you want to tell me that you didn't want to say here, didn't have time to say here. But Jacob, you were saying, can a man be too gentlemanly?
Like in a bad sense, like if they're trying to be nice in a
yeah, I think I get what you mean. What are the women saying? I think you could be way too nice and way too soft. I think you need to you don't want to be a pushover.
Yeah, like a doormat, like a pushover, kind of like, I guess, what today's culture might call a simp, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. What, like, how do you kind of draw the distinction between being a true man to a woman and then being a doormat, like Therese said?
I see. Well, my wife knows that I'm always going to open the door when I can. Hawaii, the parking's I don't know. She gets a flower almost 2 or 3 times a week. I go get her a hibiscus flower. But when a woman pushes you around, then you can't put up with that. You just have to ask her, be an adult, be mature, and just say, this doesn't work. I refuse to be treated in this fashion. This is how I want to be treated. Communicate.
Yeah.
But if a woman pushes you around, or she thinks you can be a doormat, then goodbye. Okay. And I think it's going to be lonely for some of us. Like I said, the high lonesome. It's going to be lonely until you find that one that you can really respect and give your life to. And women, I want to talk to you for a second. Women, when I was young, women had a cultural contract: no sex before marriage. I was a virgin when I got married in my first marriage. On that night, women had a contract: no lascivious action or sex before marriage. But women have kind of broken that social contract with each other. So to get a date, and a guy's going to push for that, you just have to walk away. But if you're patient, I believe God will bring you the right man. I believe in romance. My mom and dad had the greatest love affair. I believe in it. So just say no and let that suffering be a prayer for that man that God has for you. Women, you need to pray for your man too, even though you've never met him yet.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We're well beyond the 1 hour mark, but it's been spectacular. You've given us a lot of great advice, and helped us a ton there. I think we all appreciate you coming on to speak with us about this very important topic of being a man and the virtue of manliness. So if you have any final closing words, and then we can close in a quick prayer.
I don't think so. I think I said enough already. I would just say this: right. I affirm all of you for being here. Just the fact that the men and the women are here says so much. God's going to do so much with each of you as you just walk according to His will. Don't be surprised what God has just around the corner.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I was actually curious. So when was that book that you were quoting from? When is that coming out?
Oh, well, I'm just writing the outline for the publisher now. So it'll probably be, well, they're republishing my first two books, one in the fall, one in the spring. This is Sophia. So then maybe the next fall, maybe about a year or so, it'll come out.
All right, awesome. Yeah, I'll be keeping an eye out for that. Great. All right, well, would you be willing in closing us?
Make you feel bad one more time. We're gonna go get our ukulele and our beach chairs, go down to the beach. Make you feel miserable. The Catholic Church is right below us. Right
That's
below.
awesome.
The altar's right below me. And the Marianne and St. Damien Museum is right next to us too.
Awesome. All right, well, if you'd be willing to close us in a quick prayer, that'd be awesome.
In the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit, come and infuse each of these people with belief and power, and each of them with a vision, a clarity, a nudge, a push, a pull in the direction that you have for their lives, this time in their lives, the trajectory. Little decisions have such a huge impact on future trajectories. I just pray that you would guide them and bless them, instill in them a belief in you and a belief in themselves, and give them hope, especially the women, Lord. Let there be a smile on their face, knowing that you have a beautiful, beautiful man for them, and for the men, that they would be bold and cherish this woman now. Give them both, give the men and the women real clarity and purity in their souls. In Jesus' name we pray. In the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen.